Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. Another beautiful summer morning. What a joy to be together. I'm Sarah Benson. Here comes my husband, Doug. We're going to start you off with a couple of songs, and I invite you to stand if that's comfortable for you. Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am here to serve. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am here to serve. Yes, I am here to be the love of God, my God. And I know forevermore that I am loved. Yes, I know forevermore that I am loved. Yes, I am here to learn. Yes, I am here to live. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. Yes, I am here to learn. Yes, I am here to live. Yes, I am here to be the love of God, my God. And I know forevermore that I am loved. Yes, I know forevermore that I am loved. Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am here to serve. Yes, I am here to be the love of God, my God, of God, oh my God, of God, my God. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Oh, let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see all you shining lights here today. Welcome to Sunday, August 4 in the Center of Las Cruces with the Center for Spiritual Living. Our vision is a world in loving partnership for the good of all. Welcome to anyone visiting for the first time. I don't see any. Welcome on Zoom. Welcome on YouTube. I'm not going to tell you what's in the gift package because you're not going to get one. So, but be sure and read the newsletter. Everything's in there. So do that. In case you hadn't heard, Pat Conway did make her transition on July 31. And her daughter, Catherine, is the one who does our newsletter. And so cards of support can be sent to the center. And and there will be a memorial later after there's time and Reverend Bonnie heals from replacement surgery. So our next board meeting is today after the service. So thank you, board members. Appreciate it. Now, next Sunday, August 11, our Lisa Giuliano will lead us in a visioning for our ever-evolving center and the new growth we anticipate experiencing as we move forward. And if you've never done visioning, it's just wonderful. The whole thing is to relax and receive. You might want to just enjoy that. August 18th, the third Sunday, there will be a potluck after service. And August 25th, we have a special guest speaker who will do a workshop after the service, Brian Kurtz, and it's called Soul Connection at Will. And I've read one of his books. He's right on our topic. I think you would enjoy it. And there's places to sign up, are there, out there? Don't need to sign up, just show up. Also save the dates. Oh, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a metaphysical fair here on September 7th. So that's gonna be cool. And so if there's something you'd like to do or sell from a booth, let the office know. We're taking registrations. And on October 26th, so start looking through your garage and your closets now, because the fall treasure sale is October 26th. And it's amazing how much stuff we inevitably find. And you let go of the old, so more of the new arrives. So get that stuff out of there. If it's in the garage, it's probably not been used in a while. I'm talking to me. November 16 is our craft fair. So craft makers, get going. Last year I made fudge because I make big blankets. I can't get that done in the time period. So any little thing, if it's any little thing, so it's fun. Enjoy that. So we believe in the power of prayer. It's really what we're all about here. And you have before you or behind you prayer request forms and gratitude forms. So if there's something on your heart that you'd like us to pray with you, then sign that up. You don't have to put a name. You don't have to, just let us know, and we will get that energy going for you on Tuesday. We have a wonderful group of practitioners and ministers that meet every week. So it's a wonderful opportunity for extra support. And then for quickie support this afternoon, Bob and I are available for prayers after church. So you are very welcome. Good. Now it is time for song, silence, and prayer.
I am surrounded by love. I am surrounded by love. I am surrounded by love. Love is who I am. I am supported by love. I am supported by love. I am supported by love. Love is who I am. This love won't let me fall. This love won't let me fall. This love won't let me fall. of this love. I am a part of this love. I am a part of this love. Love is who I am. This love is who I am.
Let's be in prayer together. Feel that love that surrounds us now and that indwells us and that is expressed through us. That love is flowing right now for everyone here. It does not stop. Just feel the love and the peace and the ease that is in this room. Take it in as deeply as you can. And keep that spot open for receiving more and more and more. It is all good. It is all God. And so it is. So here's our reading. This is from Reverend Bonnie and I are doing a class using the thing called You. So we're both really steeped in this thing called You. So this is an awesome little bit. And if you don't have that book at home, I think it's the most inspiring Ernest Holmes. If you want to just pick up and get something wonderful, that's your book. Here he is. It is important that you maintain a strict censorship over your thinking. You don't hear censorship in this church very often, but for thinking, yeah. Just as you watch your garden, that foreign seeds shall not fall into it, producing a growth which produce a growth of undesirable plants, so you must refuse entrance to any thoughts you do not wish to see manifested in your life. Guard well this garden of your mind. It is God's garden of your soul. It is your garden of Eden, wherein may grow your fondest dreams and hopes, desires and hopes, blossoming into fulfillment. Or, if you permit, the weeds of destruction, fear, and doubt will choke out the beauty of hope until despair alone remains. Watch carefully, then, this garden of your soul. Plant there only seeds of happiness, of joy, of peace, and of goodwill. It may be necessary to cultivate your garden, to uproot the weeds and straighten out the rows, planting new seeds, new ideas, broader visions, and deeper realizations of life. New aspirations must be bedded here, fertilized with the fervor of hope, the conviction of faith, the beauty of wholeness, and the quietness of peace. Watch your garden carefully, guard it patiently, waiting for a new harvest, for you shall reap what you have sown. Plant love in your garden. Kindness and sympathy flow from the heart of love, and human goodness follows divine realization at every turn in life's road. Kindness and understanding are divine flames lighted from the altar of love, upon which burns the light eternal. Go often into your garden. Sitting under the tree of life in cool, quiet communion, you will find fresh inspiration. God himself will go forth anew into creation through you. The power of the Spirit, which is ever with you, is sufficient to meet your every need. If you need healing, this power can heal you. If you need happiness, the Spirit can provide it. If you need supply, the God who is ever with you can give it. No matter what situation you may be in, it can be changed. The winds of God never cease to flow. Set the sails of your hope that these winds may fill them. learn to drink freely from the fountain of life. And so it is.
All right. We're going to start off this month where the theme is the unstatus quo with Amazing Things, Jenna Stanfield song. And yeah, it's just to kind of encourage us to get our expectations up there for cool stuff. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is found in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go, and the people you will know. Don't worry when, where, or how. You don't have to know that now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. You don't have to work it out. Just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes and take a breath and smile. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. You will do amazing things.
I always want to tell Doug, wait and let them clap for you before you leave the stage. Wasn't that lovely? It was a beautiful song.
Thanks.
His voice is gorgeous, and he's not used to being on stage all the time. I think you need to take it in. Take in the love. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Bonnie, the community spiritual leader here, but I think everyone in this room already knows that. And one thing you might not know, though, is that since I'm up here almost every Sunday, when I look out, I actually see you, and I know where each one of you usually sits. Because some people say, well, who's so-and-so? You know, the one that sits next to, or closer to the door over here near the piano. And so I do see you, and I know when you're missing. And today, someone very important is missing, as we've already mentioned. Pat Conway, who made her transition Monday. We sat with her for many hours. I think she was giving her daughter time to adjust to the fact that she was going to be leaving us. And Pat was one of my main cheerleaders over the years. I met her early on when I first moved to Las Cruces. We met at Wellspring. And over the years, I've often thought of myself as a progressive thinker, and I've been known to speak to things that bring up challenging topics for people from up here. And she would always say, "You go, girl." Or she'd say, "You knocked it out of the park this week." And she would make a point to call me and let me know how she felt about what I had to say. And sometimes she blurted it out, and you all got to hear it too. So while being a progressive thinker, at least I like to think I am, you also know that I'm very challenged by change. I've been one of those who goes, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, I'm not a big proponent of making huge upheavals and changes in my life. And so I've been quite content some of the time to just go with the status quo. And yet what feels right to me or what feels okay for me may be uncomfortable or feel broken to someone else, and they might want to see that changed. They might like to see it fixed in some way or experience something different. And overall, I think, like me, Pat also didn't live a life that was always aligned with the status quo. We're a little bit outside the box sometimes. So this month's topic of the unstatus quo, I thought seemed quite fitting as we honor Pat in her life. So I have a challenge for you all. This month, shake it up, sit somewhere different. Move around, try a different side of the room. Did you do that? Yay, Marianne, good job. It feels different, and I won't be here to be disturbed by it. I'll be watching from, hopefully on Zoom, taking a little bit of time to recover from my new knee. But I suggest that you try something different. Think about it, because in all seriousness, even sitting in a different seat can be a challenge or a disruption to the status quo. Think about Rosa Parks and where she sat on the bus and how that impacted. So, since the status quo means the way the current state of things are, the current state, what we're experiencing now, I think many of us work hard, at least I do sometimes, to maintain that status quo. We want the status quo to continue sometimes in our families, in our lives, in our communities, and even in our country. And so to disrupt that is not always easy for us. And sometimes when the status quo gets uncomfortable and it's no longer serving us, then we decide we want to change it. We want to see it be different. And in religious science, when we want to experience something different, we call it seeing the condition changed. So the status quo is the condition that we're experiencing right now. And when we do a treatment, we talk about seeing that condition change. That means we're going to shift it out of the status quo into something else. But I think what happens is many times when we want to see the condition changed, either in our personal life or out in the world, we start arguing with people. We argue with the people in our lives that aren't doing things the way we think they should, or the way we would like to see things be. Or out in the world, we challenge what's going on in an argumentative way, thinking, of course, that we know the best way to fix it and how to achieve that change. And so think about throughout your life, I started thinking about it this month for this talk, all the different things that folks come up with to argue about. In my teens, the length of hair, especially on men, was a huge argument in my family because my brother grew his hair long. And how short a skirt could be, I was only allowed so far. And if a girl could be so bold as to ask a boy out, my mother did not think that was okay. And then today, and over the years, I think we've often argued about race and what makes someone a certain race or not, and gender and what can be done and what can't be done or shouldn't be done by certain genders. And when we cross the line, what that line is and what that looks like, I think each generation argues with the prior generation over what is right and wrong, what you can do, what you can't do, what's been done, what hasn't been done, what needs to be done. And what I find really interesting is today on TV, you can even watch people argue, and they call that entertainment. I hate that. I don't like watching people argue, but it's sort of the thing now on TV. So this is the point where Pat would go, okay, Bonnie, that's enough. You've made your point. And you get my point. Although one thing that I have to share is that at some point in my life, I prided myself in being a good arguer, at being able to make a good argument. I was able to pull those facts together and they'd spew out of my mouth so fast. And that's because I was raised in a home that valued a good research and sustained argument. And you should have seen some things that got me that I wasn't so happy with at the end. But that's another story for another time. In college and in my young adulthood, I actually had a book that had questions and topics. And my friends and I would take turns debating opposite sides of the response to that question or that topic. And we would debate, and that was fun. That's how we would spend our evenings. So arguing was something I got really good at. So yes, enough, Bonnie. So what does Ernest Holmes, the New Thought teachers, say about arguing? Ernest Holmes, stop arguing. Learn to believe. Stop debating. Learn to accept. Stop looking for authority outside of yourself. So what he's implying is that when we're arguing with someone, we want their validation of what it is we believe. We're trying to convince them to join our side. That was from this thing called You. In the Science of Mind text, he says, I do not argue, I contemplate. And back to this thing called You, he said, don't fight the opinions of others or waste your time arguing over these things. Follow the inward gleam of your consciousness. Well, when I first got introduced to these ideas, I'm like, what? No arguing? Isn't that such a great adrenaline rush? And how else am I going to change anybody else's mind? How else am I going to get what I want in my relationships or in the world? If I don't argue my point, how am I going to make things different? Well, Ernest Holmes and New Thought basically teach us if we want the condition changed, we need to move our focus from what it is we don't want and arguing with it and all that stuff to what it is that we do want. How do we want to see the world be? What do we want to experience? So here's the clincher. And about, I'd say 3 or 4 years into my experience with religious science and hearing this, that we're not supposed to argue and what we resist persists, I found myself in a relationship with somebody else who liked to argue also. And at that point, it wasn't so fun in the relationship to get into these arguing matches. And I found myself out in my garden, which was my place for peace, arguing in my head, arguing those points, arguing all the time. And then I would be driving down the street and I'm arguing with whatever they said on the radio. I'm arguing with the driver in front of me. And all of a sudden it clicked. If I don't want to experience this argumentativeness in my personal life, don't I need to stop it up here? And I thought, well, how do I do that? Well, I started focusing on what I did want. And any time I would hear myself starting to argue my point, I'd go, wait, what do I want? I'd start looking at that, how the ideal condition would look, how the condition changed would look and feel. And that became my new focus. I would put energy in, as Ernest Holmes said, to the new co-creating that we want, the believing, the contemplating. In other words, focusing on the unstatus quo, this month's topic. What isn't necessarily what I'm experiencing in this very moment. So I was going to let you do a little experiment. Excuse me, they have me wiping my nose with this weird stuff, and I keep getting this, sorry, that's gross. But prepping for surgery is a full-time job. So I want to take you on a little experiment. Let yourself bring into mind, and if you want to close your eyes, you can, something or someone that pushes your buttons, or the person that pushes your buttons around that something that pushes your buttons. Think about an issue that you feel strongly about. Maybe an argument that you've had with someone or that you would like to have with someone, and the point that you would like to make. And just take some time to think about that, revel in it, let it come up. And now in regard to that situation or issue, Ask your higher self, what do you really want with this person or in this situation? What do you really want? And if the first thought that came to you was for so-and-so to change, I challenge you to go a little deeper. What is the experience that you want to have with that person or in that situation? What is the outcome that you would like to have? And if you believe the only way you could have that experience is if they change, allow your awareness to expand a little bit and think about that outcome. Think about what it is you would like to experience, and now all the possible ways that you can have that experience. What are all the possible ways you could experience what it is you would like to experience, whether it's with that person or someone else or in that situation or another? How can you experience that outcome? And now focus on that outcome and that experience, whether it's harmony, peace, freedom, abundance, joy. The experience itself, again, opening to all the ways, let them flow into your mind that can be supportive of this experience. That's the unstatus quo. How does that feel? What does that look like? So as you bring your awareness back into this room, bring that feeling with you and see the difference between that and when you were making your point and arguing your point. Can you feel the difference between shifting your focus to what it is you do want? Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind text, on the bottom of page 329, says this: Jesus taught a power transcendent, triumphant, absolute, positive, against which lesser laws meant nothing. By its very presence, it heals. The mystics did not contend or argue with people. There was nothing to argue about. They saw and knew. They are the great revealers to us of the nature of the universe and the relationship that we have to God. And in this thing called you, I thought this was a fabulous example that we could learn from. He tells this story. When everyone believed the world to be flat, it had not flattened the round world. Think about that. When one man made up his mind that the world was really round, he did not resist the flat world because he knew there was no such world. He set out to sail around the world he knew to be round. Through his act of faith, he discovered the truth about the round world. The fear and superstition of others did not deter him. The accumulated experience of the race, the human race, did not bind him. The belief that the unknown oceans were filled with monsters did not frighten him. He knew the world was round and that he could sail around it. You have discovered the spiritual universe. Many others have discovered the same world, but each must make the discovery for him or herself. You're going to have a lot of joy sailing around the world of yours. Don't fight the opinions of others or waste your time arguing over these things. Follow the inward gleam of your consciousness and you will arrive. Whatever you identify yourself with, you will become like. Whatever you resist until you make it a reality, you will also become like. Therefore, resist not evil and it will flee from you. Don't fight your fears, see through them. There is nothing in God's world to be afraid of. See why we like this thing called you? So, as he said about the mystics, when we know, we know, we know. We don't have to argue our point. We don't have to argue with anyone about what they know. We just move forward and act upon our own convictions, whatever they might be, as we move into the unstatus quo. Years ago, I was introduced to a person, I actually got to meet him, who was the author of a book called Holistic Management. His name is Alan Savory. And he started in Africa, developing communities with ranchers there to come about ways of ranching that didn't destroy the environment. And he then brought that here to the US and into Mexico. So I found his theory and his methods to be amazing. And I thought, if we could all follow that way of being, we could have world peace in the world. And what he did is he determined that every decision that was made, you brought all of the people on board who were impacted by that decision. So if it was a ranch, it wasn't just the rancher that got to make the decisions, but his wife and children and help were all involved and part of the discussion as a decision was being made as to what direction they were going to go. So they would listen to each other and see what each one really wanted out of that decision, out of that process. And they would also consider how the impact of that decision would impact 7 generations out from the one that they were in right now. And in doing this, they would find the underlying desire that each person had. And often when you really get to what you really want under there, that's where you find alignment. That's where you find we all want this, whatever it is, whether we want to be healthy or free or whatever it is underneath there. So you're not arguing about unrelated issues. You're focusing then on that goal and figuring out all the different ways you can support that goal and which ones, as a group, you decide to move forward with. So given this month's topic, I would say stop arguing with the status quo and focus on the unstatus quo. Now, when they started this idea of having topics for us, they also have someone who's put together an outline of things that we could talk about. They send us music options. They send us quotes that we could read from. So I always usually read through it, but I kind of do my own thing. I don't always follow the status quo. And so I'm reading through all these quotes, and I found one that I really liked. And then, of course, it was written by someone who I've read to you from many times and I really like, was Valerie Carr in her book, See No Stranger. She said this: "In my early life as an activist marching in the streets, bullhorn to lips, I used the language of resistance. Resistance to everything from war to white supremacy to the destruction of the earth as it was necessary for survival. And in the traditional activist playbook, we resist the actions of our opponents with the goal of removing them from power. But the longer I spent listening to the stories of marginalized people, tending to their wounds, the more I heard a deeper longing for a future where we were all safe and secure in our bodies, free to pursue our dreams, where social, political, and economic institutions supported not just our survival, but our flourishing. We could resist with all our might and never deliver such a future. We needed to do more than resist. We needed to reimagine our world." I just think she's amazing. So when I thought about that, again, we talk about imagining a world that works for everyone. And for some of that, I can't always picture that. And I keep working it in my brain, trying to really be able to picture it. Because I know, as the New Thought teachers have taught us, it's not going to happen until we can imagine it, till we can see it. And so reimagining our world allows us to focus on the unstatus quo instead of resisting what already is. Now, this is where I miss having the people that I know sometimes argue with me in their minds. Some of you might be thinking, well, that's great when it comes to arguing with people in my personal life or looking at the issues in the greater world. But what happens if I'm arguing with you for your own good? What if I'm trying to convince you to do something different because I think you need to do that to help yourself, to get better? Bill's shaking his head no. Well, interestingly enough, as I was researching all this for the talk, Ernest Holmes has an area in here where he talks to that as well. And it's in his metaphysical interpretation of the prodigal son. And if you haven't read that, I encourage you, I bring this one up a lot of different ways that he brings good messages through that story. So if you know the story, the two sons one of the sons, the younger one, is asking the father for his share of the fortune of what he would inherit so that he can go off and explore the world. And in this interpretation of that, the Holmes is seeing the father as God in representation. And he says, when the younger son asked for his portion of good, God did not argue with him, did not try to dissuade him, did not suggest that he was using bad judgment. God never argues. To argue is to suppose an opposite, and God has no opposite. We argue to arrive at a correct conclusion. God is already the correct conclusion of all things. Therefore, he does not need to argue. Plotinus tells us that nature never argues, that it contemplates itself, that its contemplation creates a form through which it may become expressed. Undoubtedly, this is the whole meaning and process of creation. And then this is a quote from the scripture, and he divided unto them his living. So that's the father's response to the children. There was no argument. God did not tell the son that it would be far better for him to remain at home. He did not say that he might come into want or suffer, perhaps starve. He did not tell him anything. He divided unto them his living. The universe gives us what we ask. Experience alone will teach us what is best to have. He divided unto them his living. No clearer statement of individuality could possibly be inferred than this. The son received exactly what he asked for, no more, and certainly no less. The cup of his acceptance was filled from the universe, the universal horn of plenty. He could do with it as he chose. And Holmes is basically saying we are all given by Spirit what we ask, and we get to do with it what we will. There's no one, no God out there going, you better think about that. That's for us to learn and experience. And so that said to me also how it is that we can be with other people. Let them experience life and go their way. And remember, in this thing called You, it said, whatever you identify with, you will become like. Whatever you resist until you make it a reality, you will also become like. And so what happens sometimes is we resist so much that we create exactly what it is we don't want. We've made it a reality. And then we become like that, and then we say, I told you so. So, how is it then we can move forward? You know, I had a lived example of this early on in my life as a teenager. My mother suspected that my brother was smoking pot. And she came to me in distress. Well, what do we do? How do we handle this? And at that time, there was a hotline that you could call for help if you thought someone in your family was doing drugs. And they told me, and I told my mother, do nothing. Don't resist it. Don't put more energy into it. Just, you want to make sure he's safe and go from there. My brother figured it out. He cleaned up, and he's been a doctor, and he's now retired with an amazing life. So I saw how not resisting, not creating more of an issue around it worked for him. Now, I do think there might be times that we need to act in order to protect someone. They're getting ready to jump off a cliff. We might want to, pull them back, say, let's think about this. But action is different than arguing, I was thinking. We might need to act and then move back into non-resistance as they continue to work out whatever it is that they need to do. So, one last thought this morning about arguing and the status quo. When we're arguing about what is or what could be, when we argue with anyone, who or what are we arguing with? Ourselves. Yeah. We are all one. It's not if we are all one. We are all one. So how many times have you argued with yourself? And how far has that gotten you? So when we argue with someone else, we're arguing with another aspect of ourselves. And remember, Holmes said the mystics didn't argue. And why didn't they argue with people? I think because they already were so immersed in the awareness of oneness. They realized that that would be like arguing with themselves. They knew what they knew. So what can we do? I do think it's okay to share our own feelings, our own experience. We stay open then to listening, to learning, and to expanding. That famous phrase that I like to use a lot, both and. Maybe we can both be correct in some way and have what we want. We share in order to be heard. We listen to understand. But when we're arguing, we're trying to change someone. We also might be trying to express our anger. But when we're arguing, we're also perceiving separation, that they're different from us, that there's something wrong with them. So as I mentioned earlier, I used to argue a lot in my head. And I did finally realize that if I wanted to stop arguing out here, I had to stop arguing up here first in my head. It was a habit. I didn't realize how strong of a habit until I tried to stop it. But I had to catch myself and I had to stop and say, wait a minute, I want to practice non-resistance. I want to stick to these words, more of Ernest Holmes. He said, I contend with none, argue with none, and am filled with the wonderful peace and light. There is no uncertainty about my future, no fear as a result of my past. I live in an eternal now which is filled with good alone. Goodness and beauty follow me. Peace and joy accompany me. Happiness and wholeness fill my entire being with the realization of love and perfection. I am the Christ, the child of the living God within me. This inner mind of mine is now divine and complete. It has no worries and no fears. It is whole, complete, and satisfied. I look back over all previous experience and find that it was good, very good. I look toward the future and find that it is good and very good. I look at the present and find that it is also good and very good. God is in all, over all, and through all. And so as I make the decision to live that way, to do as we said in the reading that Judy did for us, thank you, guarding the garden of my mind, the things that I wanted to weed out, and I worked real hard at weeding out, was arguing with myself and arguing with others. And last week, Judy mentioned taking a peace break. Now, I watched this on my phone, and I heard her say a pee break. And then I went, oh, I get it, a peace break. And I love that idea of taking a peace break. When we're tempted to argue, breathe and take a peace break. What is it we really want to experience? What we get when we argue or peace? Taking that peace break. And then picturing the unstatus quo, what it looks like, what it feels like, where we want to be, where we want to go. And then you can ask yourself, and who argues with status quo anyway? Not me. And so it is. Thank you. And practitioners, and again, people really like being able to surround the room. I remember I couldn't wait to be a practitioner and get to do that. So anyone who would like to join us in prayer, holding this consciousness, you're welcome to. And let's take this into our awareness. So we already pictured what it is we would like to experience. And we know that it is Spirit, it is God that moves in and through us, expresses as us, as that individualized expression of the one. And so we hold in our vision the awareness of what it is we want to experience in our world. Being one with God means we're one with love, with harmony, with peace, with wholeness. And so we see our oneness with that and allow that to be our driving force. Allow that to be the direction we are headed toward. And in so doing, we release argumentativeness, we release our need to be right or to prove our point, and we know that if it is good, if it is God, it will be. It already is, and we don't have to argue or prove anything. So in gratitude, I hold on to these truths. I allow them to come forward in my consciousness as I interact with people, and I allow that truth to manifest an amazing world that does work for everyone as we release this and say together, and so it is. Thank you.
This is a song by Carrie Newcomer, and I've been wanting to do this one for a while. It makes me happy. So I think it kind of fits in here, and it's called Impossible Until It's Not. Engineers say bumblebees can't fly. Their wings are too short and their bodies too wide. But there goes one wandering by. Happens all the time. There's just no way lightning could be born. They've measured the clouds and it just can't form. But it cracks the sky in every thunderstorm. Happens all the time. It's impossible. Impossible. Impossible until it's not. There's a light in the night from stars long gone. A half-formed thought becomes a song. We rise from our grief and go on. It happens all the time. There's a lake that you cannot see across, a way through the woods that I thought I'd lost. Clearing out everything, it's time to toss. It happens all the time. It's impossible. 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 Until it's not. So I won't say it cannot be. It hasn't happened yet, but wait and see. I have lived an impossible life, followed my heart against all advice, and yes, I've fallen more than once or twice. I'll follow anyway. A golden moon pulls us from our sleep, feels as close as our hands and feet. The road's too hard and it's too damn steep. We'll climb it anyway. It's impossible. Impossible. Impossible until it's not. Thank you.
Perfect, absolutely perfect, as usual. Well, this is the time when we start thinking about gratitude and giving back. And before we move into that, one of the people I'm very grateful for is practitioner Bob Greer. I'm grateful to all the practitioners, but Bob has reached the 15-year mark of serving as a practitioner for 15 years. He started at Seaside Church of Religious Science. And I have to say, yesterday we celebrated the life of someone who was very dear to both of us at Seaside, another minister who decided she could do better work on the other side, I guess. So it was a sad but beautiful ceremony that I got to zoom into and he got to see. And so I'm grateful to Seaside for creating a magnificent practitioner and then having to move here and serve us here. So let's welcome. Thank you, Bob. And here's your 15 years of service. Hallelujah. So don't forget, they're here to work with you. If you're struggling with the status quo and unstatus quo, give them a call. They're ready to serve you over the phone or in person. as well as after the service. And so this month, we've shifted gears. I hope I did that right. Did I get that on here? Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah.
Oh, good, okay.
I previewed it last week by mistake.
Oh, okay, good. So this month, 10% of all that comes through the center is going to Mesilla Valley Habitat for Humanity that works in partnership with local organizations, businesses, and people everywhere from all walks of life to develop communities with people in need by building simple, decent homes in Las Cruces where people can live and grow into all that God intended. And I just love the idea of helping people build their own home. There's more investment in it. Everybody gets to work together, and you build community while you're building a home. So 10% of all that comes through the center this month is going to support Mesilla Valley Habitat for Humanity. So do we have people that can help pass the plate? Yep, there we go. Thank you very much. We've started doing that again. And don't feel like, if your blessing goes in the plate, that's fabulous. Just bless it and pass it on. Don't feel bad. But whatever you put in there, we are gratefully receiving. Thank you. Let's sing our song. Oh, say our blessing first. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, in me. And now we'll sing.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
So we give thanks for all that is moving in and through the center, the love, the talent, the treasure, and the time that is given here. It supports our community, and our community supports the larger community and the world. So in gratitude, we release and bless and know it is good, and so it is. Thank you.
The peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our center, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Oh, we need to change that. The last Sunday, we've got a special guest speaker. Please enjoy the rest of your month. I'll be watching you from afar. Love you all. Take care.